welcome to Auckland News. I'm Elijah Parkley.
And I'm Grace Stanton.
The Auckland City Mission has been providing addiction services, food parcels, medical care and counselling for the last 38 years. Now the old Hobson Street building is being renovated. Grace Stanton has more.
Auckland's hub for the homeless is getting a makeover.
In the new building we're going to have all our current services, and we're also building an apartment complex. There is going to be 80 people living in those apartments. 40 of those will be for people who have formerly been rough sleepers that we will support into long-term accommodation. So this is a wonderful venture for the City Mission and for Auckland generally, and really looking forward to the next couple of years and all that will unfold.
The homeless in Auckland seem pretty happy about it too.
Well, I went there the other day, and from what I got from them, they've got a whole lot more services that will be able to help us a lot more. So I'm really happy about that. They've got a mental health nurse in there now, so that'll be very helpful for the ones with mental health, like me. I've got mental health, I'll be honest. So I'm looking forward to meeting her and interacting with her.
There's a lot more facilities, there's a lot of feed, there's a lot of, it's compared to the other one, I'm just comparing though, but it's good, it's good.
This means for the next 2 years, the City Mission will have a new temporary home. The Auckland City Mission is relocating 700 metres down the road from the old Hobson Street building to Union Street. With at least 3,600 people homeless in Auckland, this can't come soon enough. Grace Stanton, Te Wahanui. Police are warning those in the eastern suburbs of Auckland to remain vigilant as crime numbers increase. With 150 reported offences in Counties Manukau each month, police say a majority of court offenders are youths. Here's Grace Knowles.
Suburbs in the eastern bays of Auckland are on high alert after an increase in criminal activities, particularly concerning youth offenders, police say.
My car got stolen about 3 months ago in East Auckland, and I just feel like the crime rate in this neighbourhood has increased dramatically, and it's very upsetting for me as a community member.
Police are warning people to be smart about security. 12 to 18-year-olds are responsible for a majority of home invasions and car thefts in Howick and Pakuranga. Following a stolen car crash killing 2 high school students in July, Community Crime Watch say parents can take active control to stop their children from making similar mistakes.
Crime affects all different people in different ways. Being part of the crime prevention unit, being out on the streets, you see a lot of young adults, teenagers out late at night, sometimes causing problems. The key thing with that is that your parents should know where their children, their teenagers are at all times and help them with their behaviours. There's a reason why they're out on the streets. It's one way of curbing the problem that does exist out there. We do want to keep the safe streets for people, and that would be one way of helping the community by knowing where people are in your family at all times.
This has been Grace Knowles for AUT.
Motorists travelling on State Highway 3 are now facing issues since the closure of the Manawatu Gorge Highway. Frustrated travellers now want to see change. Lucy Drake has the story.
Slip ravaged for the last 18 months, the Manawatu Gorge has been abandoned. Motorists have been using 2 alternative routes since parts of the rock face collapsed. Both the Paetua track and the Saddle Road are undergoing heavy roadworks. This has been going on since March, and locals have had enough.
It takes at least another quarter of an hour, 20 minutes on your trip to Palmerston North, so you always run late for appointments, and then the people there get really slacked off with you and cancel on you.
And with a new route expected to open in 2024, some Manawatu businesses are feeling the frustration too.
We have to go to the Saddle now, which means we don't do lots of jobs in Woodville because it's too much of a hassle.
Meanwhile, NZTA's solution is to begin a build costing between $390 to $568 million in 2020. The Transport Agency is urging people to comply with the temporary roadworks to help keep all motorists and road workers safe. Despite NZTA's claim to keep the delays to a minimum, it does not take away the frustration for some.
It's ruining our cars. I've had 3-wheel alignments in 1 year, and it's just chewing out the tyres.
And with no resolution date for roadworks, all motorists can do is sit and wait. Lucy Drake, Te Wahanui.
Wandering stock is often a problem when farms are located near busy highways. For one Auckland farming family, their worst nightmare came true. Becky Sims investigates.
Moesha Robertson and her family have been farm owners for over 5 years. She got her first horse back in 2013 and has been a passionate animal lover ever since. At 2 o'clock last Thursday morning, Moesha was awoken to news she hoped she would never hear.
And my dad came in, he said there's been an accident, both of the horses are dead. And at that point it was at that phase, like when you lose someone as well, like, oh, it's not real, so I went to go check on them. And my dad first took me up to go see Summer, so Summer was the one that was hit up on the road.
This is a busy highway where the accident happened. 2 of the horses escaped, with one of them getting to the road and being hit by a passing car at over 100 km per hour. It's not clear if the driver slowed down, as it wasn't until after the incident that he swerved to the side of the road and hit the barrier.
And I don't know what speed this guy was doing, but he rode his vehicle off, so must have been reasonably fast. We often get them going past here at 120, 130. It's quite common.
The second horse tried to jump the fence to get home. Its leg got caught in the wiring and unfortunately died of a heart attack and blood loss. The family is hoping that their story will be a warning for other farm owners and push them to improve their animals' fencing so that accidents like this can be avoided in the future. I'm Becky Sims from AUT.
Since 2014, Auckland Transport have banned large vehicles from parking in the popular Remuera car park. However, the ban has recently been made more visible to protect it from further structural damage. Mia Scott-Peterson reports.
A sign at the entrance of the Clonburn Street car park warns that SUVs, vans, utes and commercial vehicles are banned in an attempt to restrict the weight limit to 2,000 kilograms. The car park was built in 1982 and since then has had various repairs. However, there are still remaining issues with water ingress. Oraki Local Board Deputy Chairperson Carmel Claridge says the board have discussed the issue at their last meeting and ensure safety is their top priority.
The main concerns for the board are safety of our residents and the people using the car parks.
Ms Claridge says the board are working closely with Auckland Transport.
Our concerns, of course, is that we are getting the right information from Auckland Transport to ensure that that car park remains safe.
But it seems some residents aren't obeying the rules, causing some local shoppers to feel concerned for their safety. Remuera resident Carolyn Cooper regularly uses the car park for her grocery shop.
I heard that it could be a risk. I felt very worried. I always actually park up the top though, but I only have a small car.
The board will maintain communicating closely with Auckland Transport.
We have passed a resolution requiring Auckland Transport to report to us.
Auckland Transport says there is currently no fine for prohibited vehicles that park in the car park.
There doesn't seem to be anybody here enforcing it.
Their spokesperson says there isn't any evidence of structural distress and a load capacity assessment was completed this year to ensure the car park was still safe to be open. Mia Scott-Peterson, Te Wahanui.
A restructure of Auckland University's music school has left its students with unanswered questions. As top-level staff are being left jobless, students are asking why. Leilani Sitangata has more.
Auckland Uni's music school students are upset and angry after the confirmation that 5 high-profile staff members will be fired by the end of the year. According to students, what was most disappointing was the lack of transparency from the school during this process.
I think one of the really hard things is that we didn't only not know what was happening, we also didn't know why it was happening, and they wouldn't even tell us that level.
With staff changes rolling out next year, a lot of students are deciding to study elsewhere because their preferred teachers are among those being axed.
When you remove teachers who students come to a school for, you remove a large portion of the impetus that people have to study at that school.
One of the 5 staff members losing their job is world-famous flautist Professor Uwe Grod.
He has an excellent reputation both here and internationally, and when I heard that he was an excellent teacher, I decided, hey, it's a good idea to come here to study.
In a press release from the uni, the school have said the changes being made are to meet the needs of students. However, some students would argue whether that's true.
I think they've thought quite short-term in the new staffing profile rather than sort of long-term, and that will have lots of issues for them in the future.
Applications for enrolment at Auckland Uni's music school in 2019 open in less than 3 weeks, and only time will tell whether or not the music degrees restructuring will be a positive change for the school. Leilani Sitangata, Te Wāhanu.
Auckland's growing fuel prices is continuing to affect the pockets of citizens in the city. With the average retail price of $1.77 a litre, Auckland's average price is set to be $2.45 a litre. Aniketh Prasad takes a look at the issue.
Yet another tax has been added to Auckland's ongoing fuel prices, with an additional 3.5 cents a litre added, known as the regional tax. Since the Labour Party has came into power, the fuel prices have taken dramatic leaps, affecting the pockets of citizens. With the average retail price being $1.77 a litre, Auckland's average price is set to be $2.45 a litre.
I guess the Labour government are trying to get money and put it towards other initiatives within New Zealand. They're trying to cover their costs, and they're really drilling in on the gas prices because they know everyone loves to drive everywhere.
Between October 2017 and September 2018, petrol prices rose by a whopping 39 cents. Between 2008 and 2017, the margins importers were taking for themselves more than doubled, from 7% to 16%.
I have to cut down some of the things that I used to spend on before, or the things that I would buy for myself. I had to work extra hours for work to get the extra money for gas, which also comes to losing time and spending with my family. And
The additional 39 cents, it means approximately now it costs Kiwis an extra $20 each time they fill up their cars. Petrol prices could hit up to $2.70 by next year, and the results could be devastating for low-income families. Aniketh Prasad, AUT News.
And with soaring petrol prices across the country, fuel tax is doing more direct harm than good in the eyes of many. The new tax is changing the way people commute and making them think twice before filling up. Maxine Furi reports.
The rising fuel prices in Auckland went up this Sunday by 3.5 cents a litre. The change in fuel prices have raised the total across Auckland to a whopping 15 cents a litre. Fuel company Gull gave drivers an extra few days this week before raising their petrol prices with the new petrol tax implied. However, the new tax is definitely leaving a bad taste in the mouth of many.
Well, it's pushing up the petrol prices, nobody can afford it because wages aren't keeping up. And I think it's ridiculous, and it's all Labour government's fault.
I think it's pretty bad, to be honest. I mean, as a student, it's already hard enough to try and live off what we make part-time, because obviously most of us can only work part-time because of uni studies. So to try and afford gas to get us to and from uni, to and from work, to and from whatever is already hard enough, but if the price has gone more, it's just going to become a struggle for everyone financially.
We have to have it because we do need new roads. I do agree with it, but it doesn't help us, the consumer, because at the end of the day we're paying extra.
Petrol prices have hit a 30-year high, raising the cost of living across the country. Comparing our fuel prices to the worldwide average, $1.77 per litre sounds more realistic for us Kiwis. For Te Wāhanu, I'm Maxine Furi.
Still to come, introducing a way to solve the plastic crisis.
Spiritual healing could relieve mental health, and league players aren't getting what they're promised.
Speakers like Tasfar Molyneux, Lauren Southern and Don Brash have sparked controversy in New Zealand's free speech debate. Jamie Enzel investigates how those with communication barriers from different genders, ethnicities and sexual orientations need to have a voice as well.
Flocking to one of New Zealand's many theatres to hear someone speak, or sitting at home with a laptop deep in the wilderness of social media, people love a debate. International far-right speakers Lauren Southern and Stefan Molyneux caused an uproar about freedom of speech with their visit to New Zealand in August. Most people can give their 2 cents to the debate, but others face communication barriers where their speech isn't so free. Unya might be blind, but she's no stranger to debates and discussions online. With the determination to be involved and use of technology, she has become a writer for several disability advocacy groups. She is concerned that people often look down on the value individuals with disabilities can bring.
Disabled people, just as everyone else, should absolutely have a voice. We say that on the one hand, and then we don't necessarily take the opinions of minority groups, including disabled people, seriously.
A recent British survey found 41% of people with disabilities often don't feel valued in society, 33% experience everyday prejudice, and 2/3 have been stopped from doing something in the last year due to other people's attitudes. New Zealand's Disability Rights Commissioner says if those people's voices aren't advocated for, we won't have a representative society.
The more diverse thinking and contributions that can be made to debates make those debates much richer.
Unya and Paula say that it's important to consider people with communication barriers throughout our everyday lives. That might include making sure you have a sign language interpreter at your next event, or when posting photos on social media, making sure they have captions that can be converted into audio. Jamie Ensor, Te Wahanui.
It's been more than a year since the landslide in Birkenhead wiped away a car park near the suburb's business area. However, despite efforts by the Auckland Council to fix the parking area, local businesses continue to suffer from the slip. Alex McLeod has more.
It might be a year since the Birkenhead landslide took out a large car park on Rawini Street, but business owners within the area are still feeling the effects of the slip. The landslide not only took out all 60 spots in the parking lot, but it also took away a number of potential money-spending customers coming into the area. That, combined with the tough stance shown by Auckland Council, resulted in months of frustration for Dutch Delight restaurant owner Willem van der Velde.
At the moment we beg them, Auckland Transport, not to send somebody to look at the people, because there's so many people who is working here, and like us, we have a restaurant, so we can't go all the time outside to move our cars.
While the time-restricted parking areas are now a thing of the past, Mr van der Velde has fresh concerns about the work being done to repair the car park.
The car parks are even worse than it was before, and that has something to do with all the road works what they're doing at the moment now.
Mr van der Velde's worries are being echoed by Birkenhead resident Logan Archer, who also works within the area.
I live not locally, but I live just around in Northcote, and I have to drive in here today for work and whatnot. And well, there used to be that car park before it got swept away by the landslide, and then obviously that happened, so we had to park on the streets. But now it's just a bit of an annoyance, I guess, to find car parking around this area.
From a customer and business owner's perspective, both Mr Archer and Mr van der Velde are hopeful that the reinstallation of the car park will happen soon. That is a question, however, that only time will answer. For AUT, I'm Alex McLeod.
Millions of plastic bottles are used in New Zealand every year. Over 40 countries in the world have already adopted the bottle deposit scheme. So, why should we be paying more for our drinks? Crystal Wu has his report.
Adding an extra price on drinks could be a way of solving New Zealand's plastic bottle crisis. Introducing the bottle deposit scheme. You buy a drink, get charged for the bottle, then get your money back after returning it. A New Zealand organisation, the Kiwi Bottle Drive, is calling for a bottle deposit scheme.
We live in a time where single use is just the norm, and that's creating a lot of waste that's going to landfill and is going to our oceans. More than 1 billion, almost 1 billion bottles, plastic bottles, end up in our landfills every year. And it's crazy. We create basically all the plastic we've ever created is still on the earth, so we have to find a way to return this, reuse it, and recycle it in a more effective way.
Ideally, the amount of container deposit legislation would be linked to how easy the product was to recycle, which would encourage producers to stop putting their items in non-recyclable products, because it would be very expensive for those products to be sold.
It's as easy as that. You buy something, you return it, and at the end there will be less rubbish ending up in our landfills.
The latest taxes may be helping our roads, but not our health. Amelia Finlayson talks to an international fitness professional and a Liz Mills dietitian about New Zealand's current health issues.
Obesity is hitting a high in New Zealand. 1 in 4 adults are overweight by 15 kgs, and the government is doing nothing about it. Yet our petrol taxes are hitting a high. What about the focuses on our foods and drinks?
Do you believe if the government put taxes on sugary foods and drinks, that would become a healthier community?
I definitely think that putting the tax on would
probably get people to be more aware of what they're buying and sort of choose the healthy options if it was cheaper.
I find living a healthy lifestyle, you achieve so much more. Like, you get up earlier, you get more done during the day, especially like drinking water and you know, not drinking alcohol and staying away from those fatty foods. Like, those fatty foods make you lethargic and tired. So I feel like we need more education for people of understanding what foods are good for you, why you eat them, and also the convenience. Like doing this bodybuilding competition, you know, I have my set food and I get it pre-ordered and I have to eat it at certain times. All of those, you know, sugary drinks and, you know, bad foods are all very cheap. And they're all really accessible, like they're always in your face. You know, where people get trapped because it's easy to go and get takeaways. You know, they're tired from work, you know, so they go and get junk food or whatever. So it's the convenience. So like, if you made healthier food more convenient, more people would be healthier. It's very bizarre. So I think increasing the tax on it will definitely make people think about it when they open their wallet.
Although there are no government-led national strategies or taxes, Amy Lee is hoping to help the New Zealand community to become healthier.
Spiritual healing has been helping people to channel peace in their life. Those who take part in the act says its effects have proven to help with mental health issues. Rochelle Street takes a look.
Crystals, tarot cards, incense, and channeling your energies. These are just some of the ways spiritual people are connecting with themselves to improve their mental health. Cassidy McConey has been channeling her inner peace for the last year and says she has noticed drastic improvements to her mental health. And it could be a way to lower New Zealand's statistics.
Just like it just releases all of this stress and all of this anxiety that I'm feeling so that I don't start to resent myself, because it's just like, yeah, it's super good for you.
International tarot reader and psychic Kimberly Stewart has been professionally guiding people through tough times for the last 5 years.
Readings can help a lot with anxiety, or people who suffer from anxiety, because it does help them sort of understand the spiritual aspect surrounding anxiety as well.
It helps as you or a spiritual healer can tap into body energies. This can be through crystals or by connecting to your chakra. Chakra is different energies in your body which are used to channel emotions. Not everyone may be open to channeling energies, but if it works to help even one person out of a tough time, it's worth the try. Rochelle Street, Te Wāhanui.
To sports now. Every year, a surge of young Kiwi boys move across the ditch to Australia to follow their NRL dreams. But for many, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Tiffany Salmond reports.
For many 16 to 18-year-olds with big dreams of the NRL, being selected to play rugby league in Australia is the opportunity of a lifetime. But as more and more of these boys return home with crushed dreams and tales of their shocking reality, parents are now calling for more honesty from the industry. 17-year-old Colt Ransom moved to Cairns late last year after being promised diet plans, top coaching and a spot on a prestigious team.
When I got the opportunity to go over, I was pretty rapt about it. New start, new change. But when I got over there, reality hit. Yeah, my coach promised me a lot of things, bed, nutrition plans, workout plans, but I mean, I got there, I didn't even have curtains, and just wasn't food in the fridge sometimes, and it was just a big letdown.
Making the move to Australia was a huge decision for Colt and his family. It meant he would be moving schools for his final year, and it was going to be costing the family a lot of money.
It was a big commitment on our part, you know, we had to find the money to get him over there and support him while he was over there. Where he was living, the food and that side of things, it just wasn't there. It wasn't as we'd been promised, which was really disappointing.
Colt says it was an eye-opening experience that cost his parents thousands, interrupted his schooling and ruined his passion for the game. The young league player says he wants to bring awareness to his story so more young boys don't get tricked into the same situation he was.
Taxes and rates are rising, but teacher salaries aren't. Student teacher graduates are being forced to move out of Auckland for work due to the rising cost of living. Mackenzie Schultz has the story.
Some of the factors that make it difficult to stay in Auckland would be the petrol tax is the main one.
Have you been looking into jobs to go into once you graduate?
Recently I've been looking at some jobs in Auckland,
But with the pay that they give me once I finish uni, it's not the greatest, especially with rent in Auckland. So I've been looking at houses in like the Waikato/Hamilton region, but since recently they've increased the petrol tax and petrol prices in general, it's going to be a bit hard going back and forth.
What factors have made it hard to stay in Auckland?
I've got a student loan that obviously you have to pay off, which comes out of your pay each week, which makes it harder to pay rent because the rent prices here are so expensive. I am able to scrape by with maybe possibly rent and food and petrol, but that leaves me with nothing to save and don't really have a dollar for my name. Moving away from Auckland into like a smaller city is probably the best way for me to be able to afford and to live and to be able to look out for my future. You can keep increasing the teachers' salaries all you want, but the taxes just keep going up with it. So it doesn't really balance it out because food's getting more expensive, petrol's getting more expensive. All those things are necessary for us to survive. In order for us to be able to make a living, the taxes need to stay or go down or just stop rising. And then the salary being increased would be good, obviously, because the workload's quite tough. But if they both go up, that doesn't help us in the long run. It just needs to be a happy medium.
For Te Wahanui, I'm Mackenzie Schultz.
And finally today, up-and-coming artist Sam Verlinden is back on the music scene after a 5-year break. Having almost wrapped up his tertiary studies, Verlinden is now releasing music as an independent artist. Elijah Farfew took time to catch up with him.
Take your hand, say I just wanna love you.
After taking a 2.5-year hiatus to undergo tertiary study, Sam Verlinden is looking to rejuvenate his music career as an independent artist. How has Sam V managed to stay in touch with his musical side during his break?
I've been making music in that time as well, just really trying to find my sound and derive a bit of inspiration from all the things that I've been doing around the world, so yeah, it's a good time.
Alongside his producer Eddie, the two have balanced music and university without any record label association.
We both took time to go to uni and develop our sounds individually. I'm still just working with Donnell Lewis and Mikey Mays, putting out new music pretty much every day, working on new stuff and hopefully dropping in the near future.
With no record label to report to, the two artists are collaborating together to produce new content and a new sound. Verlinden says the freedom he gets from being an independent artist has allowed his creative juices to flow like never before.
I think when I was younger, a lot of labels saw the opportunity to kind of produce somewhat of a manufactured pop R&B artist, and going independent has really allowed me the opportunity to develop and mould my own character into something a lot more intricate and developed and strange, but also versatile.
Sam V hopes that his independence from labels will allow fans to enjoy his music the same way he does. Elijah Farfew, Te Wahanui.
That's all from us. Thanks for watching and ka kite anō.
Bye for now.